Hello everyone, and welcome to today's presentation. We will be exploring the topic of agriculture in NCERT Class 8 Geography. In this session, we'll cover the key aspects of agriculture, its importance, and the main themes from the chapter. I'm excited to take you through this interesting subject. Let's get started. Welcome to today's presentation. On this slide, we're outlining the contents of our discussion on agriculture. We'll start with Chapter 4, which focuses on agriculture itself. Then, we'll delve into the farm system, exploring how farms are organized and managed. Next, we'll look at various economic activities related to agriculture, highlighting its role in economies worldwide. We'll also examine the conditions for agriculture, understanding what makes farming successful in different regions. Following that, we will discuss the world distribution of arable land, showing where the most fertile and suitable lands are located globally. We'll then explore different types of farming, including traditional and modern methods. Afterward, we'll consider commercial farming, which emphasizes large-scale production for markets. We'll also review specific examples like farming in India and farming in the USA, to compare practices across different countries. Moving forward, we'll discuss agricultural development and how it has evolved over time, impacting productivity and sustainability. Finally, we'll wrap up with a recapitulation to reinforce the key points, and a conclusion to summarize our insights and understanding of the importance of agriculture in shaping societies. This structured overview helps us connect each topic to the broader theme of how agriculture sustains human life and drives economic growth globally. Welcome to Chapter 4. Agriculture. In this section, we'll explore the vital role that agriculture plays in our society and economy. Agriculture isn't just about farming, it's about how we produce the food and raw materials that sustain us. We'll look at key concepts like sustainable practices, technological advancements, and the challenges faced by the agricultural sector today. These points are crucial because they tie into the broader theme of resource management and environmental impact. Understanding agriculture helps us see its influence on our daily lives and the importance of innovation to ensure food security for the future. Let's talk about the different types of economic activities that people engage in. First, we have the primary activities. These include all those activities that are directly connected with the extraction and production of natural resources. Examples of primary activities are agriculture, fishing, gathering, mining, and animal rearing. Essentially, these activities involve getting raw materials from the earth or the environment. Moving on, we have the tertiary activities. These are the services that support both the primary and secondary sectors. Think of industries like trade, transportation, banking, insurance, and advertising. They don't produce goods themselves, but they facilitate the production and distribution processes, making the economy more efficient and accessible. Next are secondary activities, which are all about processing the raw materials obtained from primary activities. This includes manufacturing industries such as iron and steel production, food processing, weaving of cloth, and dairy products. These activities transform raw resources into finished goods that we use daily. Now, let's focus a bit on agriculture, which is a major primary activity. It involves growing crops like grains, fruits, vegetables, and flowers, as well as rearing livestock. Agriculture is incredibly important because, worldwide, about 50% of the population depends on it for their livelihood. In India specifically, around 2/3, or about 66%, of the population still relies on agriculture for their livelihood. This highlights how vital agriculture remains, both globally and locally, in supporting people's lives and the economy as a whole. Let's talk about the conditions necessary for agriculture to thrive. First, we have the basic idea that soil, which we call ager, combined with cultivation or culture, results in soil cultivation. And this soil cultivation is essentially what we understand as agriculture. Next, it's crucial to have a favorable climate, which includes the right temperature, sufficient rainfall, proper humidity, and being frost-free. All of these factors create the ideal environment for crops to grow. In addition to climate, the type of soil matters a lot. Common types like alluvial, black, loamy, laterite, and red soils each have unique qualities that support different kinds of crops. Finally, we need to consider arable land. That's the land suitable for growing crops. The land on which we cultivate and harvest crops is known as arable land. Without these conditions, good soil, favorable climate, and arable land, successful agriculture would be very difficult. These elements are interconnected and essential for productive farming, which ties back to our overall theme of understanding what makes agriculture possible. Let's take a closer look at the world distribution of arable land. As you can see, arable land, the land suitable for growing crops, is not evenly spread across the globe. Some regions are incredibly rich in arable land, while others have very limited options for cultivation. For example, parts of North America and Europe tend to have a high percentage of arable land, which supports intensive farming and food production. In contrast, areas like deserts or tundra, such as parts of the Middle East or northern Canada, have very little arable land due to harsh environmental conditions. This uneven distribution plays a crucial role in global food security and agricultural practices. It influences how countries strategize their food production and manage resources. Recognizing where arable land is abundant or scarce helps us understand the challenges and opportunities in sustainable agriculture. Ultimately, the global map of arable land underscores the importance of efficient land use and innovative farming techniques to meet the growing food demands of our population. Now let's take a closer look at the farm system. At its core, it starts with inputs like seeds, fertilizers, machinery, and labor. These are essential resources that set the foundation for the entire process. Next, we move into the process itself, which involves several key activities. Plowing prepares the land, followed by sowing the seeds. Then, we have spraying to protect the crops, irrigation to ensure they get enough water, weeding to keep the fields healthy, and finally harvesting the crops when they're ready. All these steps work together to produce a variety of outputs. We get crops, of course, but also wool, dairy products, and poultry products. This cycle is fundamental to understanding how farming systems operate, and it highlights the importance of each input and process in generating the outputs that sustain both the economy and our daily lives. Today, let's explore the different types of farming that exist. First, we have subsistence farming. This type of farming is mainly practiced to meet the needs of the farmer's own family. It's about producing enough food and resources for themselves, and not necessarily for sale or trade. It's quite common in rural areas where farming is a primary way of life. Next, we have commercial farming. Unlike subsistence farming, this type is focused on growing crops or raising animals primarily for sale in the market. The goal here is to generate income, often on a larger scale, to support not just the farmer's family, but also the economy. Understanding the difference between these two helps us see how farming adapts to different needs and economic contexts. It also ties into the overall theme of how agriculture sustains communities and shapes economies around the world. Let's take a closer look at subsistence farming, starting with intensive subsistence agriculture. This method is characterized by small plots of land where farmers use simple tools and rely heavily on manual labor. Despite the limited land, they manage to grow more than one crop within a year on the same plot, which helps maximize productivity. The main crops here include rice, wheat, maize, pulses, and oilseeds. This type of farming is especially common in densely populated areas of the monsoon regions across South, Southeast, and East Asia, where land is scarce, but the need for food production is high. Now, moving on to primitive subsistence agriculture, specifically shifting cultivation. This practice goes by different names in different parts of the world, but shares a common approach. It's often called slash-and-burn agriculture because farmers clear a plot of forest by cutting down trees and burning them, which enriches the soil temporarily with ash. They then plant crops like maize, yam, potatoes, and cassava. After a few years, when the soil loses its fertility, the farmers abandon this plot and move on to a new area, allowing the previous one to regenerate naturally. For example, in northeast India, this practice is known as jumming. In Mexico, it's called milpa, in Brazil, roca, and in Malaysia, ladang. This cyclical method allows communities to sustain themselves in forested regions, but also highlights the importance of understanding local farming practices within the broader context of subsistence agriculture. Nomadic herding is a fascinating practice that is primarily found in semi-arid and arid regions around the world. You'll find it in places like the Sahara Desert, Central Asia, and in parts of India such as Rajasthan and Jammu and Kashmir. The key idea here is mobility. Herdsmen don't stay in one place. They move from location to location along with their animals. This movement is driven by the search for essential resources like food, fodder, and water, which can be scarce in these harsh environments. The animals they rear are well suited to these conditions. Commonly, you'll see sheep, camels, yaks, and goats. Each of these animals plays a vital role in the herders' livelihoods. They provide a range of products including milk, meat, wool, hides, and other essentials. These resources are crucial not only for their sustenance, but also for their economic stability. Connecting this to the broader theme of livelihood strategies in different environments, nomadic herding exemplifies adaptation and resilience. It shows how communities have historically adjusted their practices to thrive in challenging climates, ensuring their survival and continued cultural traditions. Let's talk about commercial farming. In this type of farming, the main goal is to produce crops and rear animals specifically for sale in the market. It's not just about feeding a family or local consumption, it's about generating income. To do this effectively, large plots of land are used, which means farm sizes tend to be quite extensive. Additionally, significant capital investment is required to set up and maintain these farms. Most of the work involved isn't done manually anymore. Instead, machines play a huge role in planting, tending, and harvesting. This combination of large-scale land, capital, and machinery allows farmers to produce large quantities of food efficiently, supporting the broader economy and the food supply chain. This type of farming really highlights how agriculture can be scaled up for commercial purposes, connecting directly to the overall theme of agricultural development and economic growth. Now, let's take a look at the different types of commercial farming. First, we have commercial grain farming. This type is primarily focused on large-scale cultivation of grains like wheat and maize, which are staple foods for many populations. It's most commonly practiced in the temperate grasslands of North America, Europe, and Asia, where the climate and soil conditions are ideal for growing these crops efficiently. Next, there's mixed farming. This approach combines growing food crops and fodder with rearing livestock, creating a diverse farming system. You'll find this practiced in regions such as Europe, Eastern United States, Argentina, Southeast Australia, New Zealand, and South Africa. It's a versatile method that supports sustainable farming by balancing crop production with animal husbandry. Finally, we have plantations. These are large-scale farms dedicated to growing a single crop, such as tea, coffee, sugarcane, cashew, rubber, banana, or cotton. Plantations usually require significant amounts of labor and capital investment. They are typically found in tropical or subtropical regions, where the climate is suitable for these crops. All these types of commercial farming reflect different strategies and resource uses, but they share the common goal of producing food or raw materials on a large scale to meet global demand. Now, let's take a look at the major crops. A large variety of crops are grown here, and this diversity is really essential. It helps us meet the needs of our growing population, ensuring that everyone has access to the food and resources they require. By cultivating different types of crops, farmers can also adapt to changing conditions and reduce risks associated with pests or weather. This variety highlights the importance of agriculture not just as a livelihood, but as a foundation for food security and sustainability. As we see, the variety of crops grown here is a key piece of the bigger picture of how this region supports both local communities and global food systems. Today, I want to talk about one of the major food crops that plays a crucial role in feeding the world: rice. Rice is not just a staple, it's the primary food source for many in the tropical and subtropical regions. It's incredible how vital it is to the diets of so many people across different continents. Rice cultivation requires specific conditions. Think high temperatures, high humidity, and plenty of rainfall. It thrives best in alluvial clay soils, which are rich and well-drained. When we look at global production, China stands out as the leading producer of rice, followed by countries like India, Japan, Sri Lanka, and Egypt. These nations have optimized the conditions and techniques to grow large quantities of rice, highlighting its importance in their agriculture and economies. Overall, rice exemplifies how climate, soil, and human effort come together to sustain populations and support their livelihoods around the world. Now let's look at major fiber crops, starting with wheat. Wheat requires moderate temperatures and rainfall during its growing season, which makes it adaptable to various climates. It also needs bright sunshine at the time of harvest to ensure the best quality. When it comes to soil, wheat thrives in well-drained, loamy soil because it provides the right balance of nutrients and drainage. You'll find wheat extensively grown in countries like the USA, Canada, Argentina, Russia, Ukraine, Australia, and India. These regions offer the ideal conditions for wheat cultivation, making it a vital crop globally. Understanding these requirements helps us appreciate how climate and soil influence where these major fiber crops are grown, connecting directly to the importance of suitable environmental conditions for successful agriculture. Let's take a closer look at some other major crops that are vital around the world. First, we have millets, which are often called coarse grains. They're quite hardy and can be grown even on less fertile, sandy soils. They require low rainfall and can tolerate high to moderate temperatures. In countries like India, Nigeria, and China, popular types like jawar, bajra, and ragi are grown successfully. Moving on to maize or corn, this crop needs moderate temperatures and rainfall, along with plenty of sunshine. It thrives in well-drained, fertile soils and is cultivated across North America, Brazil, China, Russia, Canada, India, and Mexico. Next is cotton, which has specific growing conditions. It prefers high temperatures, light rainfall, and about 210 frost-free days. Bright sunshine is essential for its growth, and it grows best on black and alluvial soils. Leading producers include China, the USA, India, Pakistan, Brazil, and Egypt. Then there's jute, often called the golden fiber. It grows well on alluvial soils and needs high temperatures, heavy rainfall, and a humid climate. India and Bangladesh are the top producers of jute, highlighting its importance in those regions. Now let's look at coffee. Coffee plants require warm, wet climates and well-drained, loamy soils. Hill slopes are particularly suitable for coffee cultivation. Brazil is the world's leading producer, followed by Colombia and India. Finally, we have tea, which is a beverage crop grown mainly on plantations. Tea plants need a cool climate and consistent, high rainfall throughout the year to produce tender leaves. Large-scale labor is necessary for plucking the leaves. The top producers include Kenya, India, China, and Sri Lanka, known for their high-quality tea. These crops are integral to the economies and diets of many countries, and understanding their growing conditions helps us appreciate the diversity of agriculture worldwide. Let's talk about agricultural development. Efforts are constantly being made to increase farm production so we can meet the growing demand of our expanding population. This involves several strategies, like expanding the area under cultivation and growing more crops within a single year. Improving irrigation facilities is also crucial, as it helps boost the yield per acre. Additionally, farmers are using fertilizers and high-yielding variety seeds to maximize productivity. Incorporating machinery into farming practices is another key step to enhance efficiency and output. The main goal of all these efforts is to ensure food security for the entire world. As you can see, agriculture has developed significantly worldwide, but these developments often vary from place to place, depending on local conditions and resources. All of these strategies are interconnected and essential for supporting the growing global population through sustainable food production. Let's talk about farming in India. Landholdings are generally quite small, and this is largely due to inheritance laws that limit the size of individual farms. Because of these small plots, most of the work on farms, like plowing and irrigation, is done by animals and family members, which keeps things quite traditional. However, farmers do sometimes rent tractors for plowing and water for irrigation when needed, especially during busy seasons. Producing enough food and fodder is a top priority for Indian farmers, as it's essential for both consumption and livestock. To boost productivity, many farmers take loans from banks or cooperatives to purchase high-yield variety seeds and better farming implements, which can make a big difference in their output. The area dedicated to fodder crops is also quite significant, supporting the livestock sector that is so vital to Indian agriculture. On the other hand, some farmers face challenges like a lack of proper storage facilities for their produce, which can lead to losses. Fortunately, the government has been working on developing better storage infrastructure to help farmers store their crops more effectively and reduce waste. All these points highlight how Indian farmers are balancing traditional practices with modern innovations and facing challenges head-on, all while striving to improve their productivity and livelihoods. Let's take a closer look at farming in the USA. The rolling plains are a key feature here. They are well-drained and highly suitable for large-scale mechanized farming. In fact, farms in this region can span thousands of hectares, making agriculture a major economic activity. The soil in this area is typically dark brown, rich in humus and organic matter, which are essential for healthy crop growth. To ensure optimal fertility, farmers use soil testing laboratories, scientific fertilizers, and high-yield variety seeds. These tools help maximize productivity and sustainability. Transportation is also a crucial factor. Transcontinental railways connect these farming regions to major consuming centers and cities, ensuring that produce can reach markets efficiently. The natural environment here supports diverse crop cultivation, thanks to favorable climate and soil conditions. Farmers rely heavily on machinery: tractors, seed drills, levelers, harvesters, and threshers all play a vital role in making farming more efficient and less labor-intensive. Lastly, automated storage facilities are in place for grains and market dispatch, helping farmers manage their harvests effectively and maintain quality until sale. All these elements, fertile soil, advanced machinery, efficient transportation, and storage, come together to make U.S. farming highly productive and integral to the global food supply chain. Let's quickly recap what we've covered about different types of cultivation for commercial use. We looked at growing vegetables, flowers, and fruits, which can include viticulture or grape growing, pisciculture, which is fish farming, horticulture, involving the cultivation of plants, and sericulture, the rearing of silkworms for silk production. These are all important for commercial agriculture. Next, we discussed crops that need about 210 frost-free days to grow properly. Tea is a prime example, as it requires a warm climate without frost. Similarly, coffee, cotton, and jute also fall into this category, emphasizing the importance of suitable climatic conditions for these crops. Speaking of climate, we asked what physical conditions are needed for rice cultivation in India. Rice thrives in a hot, humid climate with plenty of water, which is why floodplains and river valleys are ideal for rice paddies. We also looked at how farming is classified. It can be categorized based on the scale and methods used, like subsistence farming versus commercial farming, which helps us understand different agricultural practices. The term golden fiber refers to jute, which is called so because of its economic importance and golden color. It's used extensively in making sacks, bags, and other packaging materials. Now, what exactly is intensive subsistence agriculture? It's a type of farming where farmers maximize production on small plots of land by using manual labor, fertilizers, and irrigation, a common practice in densely populated regions. We also examined the physical conditions required for cotton cultivation in India. Cotton prefers a warm climate with well-drained soil and a long frost-free period to produce good yields. Moving on, we identified the three main sectors of activity in the economy. The primary sector, which involves raw material extraction like farming and fishing. The secondary sector, which includes manufacturing and industry. and the tertiary sector, offering services like trade, education, and healthcare. Lastly, we touched on the different types of millets. There are 3 common types: pearl millet, finger millet, and foxtail millet, all of which are nutritious and well-suited to dry, arid regions. All these points tie together to give us a comprehensive overview of the diverse aspects of agriculture and allied activities, showing how they are vital to our economy and food security. Thank you so much for your attention today. I really appreciate you taking the time to explore these ideas with me. To wrap up, I want to emphasize the key points we've discussed, especially how understanding these concepts can truly make a difference in our work and impact. Remember, the main takeaway is the importance of applying these insights to drive positive change and innovation. This presentation has been all about connecting the dots and seeing the bigger picture, so I encourage you to think about how these points relate to your own experiences and goals. Once again, thank you for your engagement and curiosity. I look forward to seeing how you all implement these ideas moving forward. Thanks a lot.